Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today at our webinar about health coaching. Today we have in conversation Joel Kreisberg and Deena Salisi. Joel is the founder and executive director of Teleosis Institute, a nonprofit devoted to coaching and healing arts. He brings almost 3 decades of leadership experience to his work as an integrative physician, teacher, coach, and change agent. His education and practice in chiropractics, homeopathy, and coaching led him to create narrative health coaching. He is the author of Coaching and Healing, Transcending the Illness Narrative, and has a private practice in Berkeley, California. Deena is a board-certified health and wellness coach and is also certified in narrative health coaching by Teleosis Institute. She also has an international certification as a Bach Foundation registered practitioner in flower essences. She has a private practice and also leads classes and workshops on flower energetics and personal empowerment. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, oh, and I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Rosie, the Director of Academics at Bowman College. What I'm going to ask everyone to do is to please write your questions, type your questions through the chat box. I'm going to be kind of synthesizing all of the questions, which I'll be asking on your behalf at the end. With that, Joel and Deena, I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Rosie, and thank you for the introduction, and welcome everyone. And I'm going to welcome Deena so I could get you to show up on the screen for everyone. Hi, Deena.
Hi, Joel. It's great to be here.
So, you know, there's a lot of people on Zoom. I think we're up to 50. We love starting classes by checking in, but we are not going to have a time to check in an hour class. So I think what we're going to do is just do something else I really love to do, which is just take a minute to arrive, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually grab my bell, which wasn't up on my desk, and I'm going to ask everyone to sort of just get comfortable in your chair. And I'm going to ring the bell, and we're just going to take a minute to just be present in our bodies. Allow yourself to fully arrive here today. It's the middle of the day for all of us. Many of you are at work. You might be multitasking. So perhaps this is a time where you can just make this time for yourself and just really be present. Allow yourself to just have a 1 minute for yourself, for me, for you. Any tension arises? Notice it and then return to breathing. Thank you. We actually, 2 things we always do when we start our classes is to do a mindfulness exercise, because mindfulness is very important to what we're doing, and to check in. And so I'm going to do a really brief check-in, and I'm going to have Deena do a brief check-in. I'm in Berkeley, California. This is my home office. I spend a lot of time teaching through Zoom. I'm very comfortable teaching online. I love teaching online. I like teaching in person. Today's been a really good day. Do more than one thing. So this morning I was doing some work as some of the work I do as a Zen priest. And then I switched hats about 2 hours ago and got back to my work as a health coach. I'm an integrated physician, so I don't have any clients today, but tomorrow I'll go back to working with clients and integrating homeopathy and health coaching. Deena, can you give us a quick check-in?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Deena, and I am right now in Los Angeles, California. I recently relocated down to Southern California from the Bay Area, so I kind of miss the Bay Area. But I've been doing well, and I have a few different hats I wear as well. So I see clients for health coaching and flower essence therapy, and you know, it really is great because I love the variety. It's no 2 days are alike, and I get to be creative. And I think that when I teach the foundations class, that's one of the things I like to point out to the students is that even though we're offering you a really great structure in health coaching, it's a very creative career. So it's I really enjoy it, and I'm glad that you all came today. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice, thank you. So if we were in one of our classes, which the classes usually run, we teach classes at Bowman College in the nutrition consultant program as well. You know, classes it can be from anywhere from 20 to 50 in that particular program. Our health coaching program is going to cap at 30. So with a smaller number of people, we would usually take the time to check in and have everyone do something like that. With 68, that would take a whole hour. I don't think we're going to do that. So having said that, what we're going to do today is we're going to try and end right on time. I'm going to use a little bit of slides because it gives us sort of a frame so you can kind of see what we're going to do, but you'll see we bounce on and off between the slides and talking to you. But we're going to leave plenty of time for questions. As I say, use the chat to talk to Rosie. She's going to ask us a few scenarios. We're both available after if you want to talk to us one-on-one about what we're doing. And so that's kind of, you know, so that's our overview of what we're doing today. Anyway, so I'm going to put up a slide or two, right? We're going to talk about Bowman College Health Coach Program. And so when I look at today, I mean, we got to start off with what is health coaching? It's a really important emerging field. Right, and then we're going to kind of help you see what the competencies are, because the competencies are the skills that we're orienting toward. And then, of course, the third one, narrative health coaching, that's our slant on those competencies. What do we do that's unique? And I think it's very unique. And that'll lead us into the program itself, the program overview, and certification, because this is a professional track. You know, actually at this stage, there's about 22 or 300 health and wellness coaches, board certified health and wellness coaches, and it's a rapidly growing field with jobs. Hospitals are hiring, and it's really is actually like at this stage all of my graduates are all working as health coaches, so it seems like it's working. And then we'll give you some program info and questions, and I think Rosie's going to do the closing when we get to the end. So, jumping right in, this is a busy, long slide, but it's the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaching. That's the board certifications definition. And I like to shut up now. I know some people are on the phone, so I'm going to be quiet and then I'll read after folks have a chance to just look at this slide. So there's a few key words. Health and wellness coaching's partners with clients. So we're not treating clients, we're partnering with clients, right? But we're trying to help the clients do is become more self-directed, because self-directed leads to lasting change. that's aligned with the client's values. So one of the reasons why I love health coaching and why Deena likes health coaching is as a healer, we have a habit of telling our clients what to do, and as coaches we have a habit of trying to figure out what they want to see happen and help them use it in the style and the way that they're doing that's most optimal for their own healing. And what are we doing? We're promoting health and wellness, right? And enhancing well-being is a bit like healing. So partner with clients seeking self-directed, lasting changes aligned with their values, which promote health and wellness. In the second half of this definition, you see unconditional positive regard, belief in their capacity to change, and honoring that each client is an expert. It's a perfect time to stop, share, and say, honoring, and why health coaching, Deena, added to the other things that you do.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what appeals to me most and why you stopped it there is because it really puts the power in the hands of the client. And so that's my job, is to really help people to discover that the power for healing is within them. And so this is foundational for what we're doing, and really I think gets the best results, because it's not about prescribing and then sending someone off and maybe they will or maybe they won't adhere to the practices. It really is about helping them to discover their capacities and build them, right?
Yeah, and the nice thing is it goes hand in hand really well with other methodologies.
Yes.
So if I do homeopathy, chiropractic, craniosacral therapy, you do flower essence, you work with trauma, there's a bunch of different things that you do. And what the health coaching does is it gives us a way of framing our technique in a way that's co-creative with our clients, right? Notice I don't call them patients, I call them clients, right? But it doesn't get in the way of me still prescribing. So at Bowman College, the orientation is toward nutrition. So we can still do our nutrition work, but the coaching is the skills that I need to make that stuff be in the right language and the right motivation for our clients, rather than, well, I have all the goods and you just have to take it and go do it. There's another definition of health coaching. I like to put up two because it looks different. This is the more medical definition. I'll let you read this slide. And the reason why I like this particular slide is because you get a few key words. It's client or patient-centered. That means we're in a relationship with each other. So I think of it, my language is as relationship-centered. So my orientation is on our relationship, not on my treatment. So I like to say I don't treat illness, I partner with people to support their health changes. And what do I do? How do I do that? I focus with non-judgmental dialogue. I help set goals and I help people become accountable. Right? And those are some of the skills. So you're going to get that. So I said that we were going to talk about the skills. So the National Board of Health and Wellness, National Board of Health and Wellness Coaching defines these skills. So there's three big buckets. There's co-creating the relationship. I'll let you read. How do you establish relationships with people, Deena?
I think, just being present. And that's, so what we did at the beginning when we sat and arrived, right? I think that the most important moments of a coaching session happen right before the coaching session, because I have to make sure that I'm present, right? That I can be there for the client. So just establishing presence, listening, and just really showing up for them and really ensuring that they feel heard, right? That's really...
Yeah. Perfect. In other words, so how I am makes a difference. It's not what I know, it's who and how I am and how I show up. And it's the first thing. Notice the first set of skills the National Board of Health and Wellness Examiners is about relationship. right? So I'm going to go back to that so you can see it again. Co-creating the relationship, calm, present, available, empathetic, establish rapport. So we're demonstrating rapport right now, Deena and I, and what that's like. Ensure that the client's agenda, needs, and interests, our preference, drive the relationship. So this is where it's important that we make enough time to hear from you. I just talk behind slides for a whole hour. I'm not ensuring anything. And so we've selected the focus of today's session is learning about health coaching and programs, but we're also sort of demonstrating some skills. So the first skill was actually just making a minute of silence, right? And we'll demonstrate another skill or two in a second so that you can, and that's where we get to communicating effectively. Okay, so we got 4 skills here: active listening, powerful questions, communicating directly, and sharing information. So fairly typically health professionals are good at sharing information, okay, but active listening skills, that's a whole other thing. Rather than me keep asking you, ask me a question from here and I'll do something with it. Deena, can you?
Oh,
You have to ask me a question about communication skills.
Okay, so so how do you, Joel, actively listen? How do you know you're actively listening to a client?
Perfect. So when I'm actively listening, well, first I prepare myself to actively listen. So I bring myself present. So you notice that I started my own webinar by doing this 1 2-minute activity. And you could say that's for everybody on the call, but you could just say that was for me. Right? I active listening by putting away distractions. So I learned not to check my email. I learned to be prepared. I have to get that up ahead of time. Right. I actively listen by paying attention to not just the words that a person's saying, but the gestures that go along with the words. So like you're nodding now. So I feel like when you're nodding, I get a sense that you're listening to me. So you're actively listening because you're giving me gestures, but what I'm listening for. And then so I'm trying to listen for the meaning of what's going on. And I'm also noticing gaps when people say things, but they seem to be either there's tension there or there's something contradictory, right? And I move from active listening to asking questions where I don't judge that. I say, I need to understand, it's interesting, like you're saying one thing, but it seems like I'm hearing something else. Can you help me understand that more? Right? Help me. What are you noticing? And so there's a way in which active listening and talking go together. And then pausing. So I can feel heard. Thank you. I put you on the spot there too. So luckily I know that you're going to be able to do that. I think my puppy there is actively listening too, huh? The third area is facilitating learning results. And so if you say the first area was co-created relationship, and the second one was communicating, the third one, you've heard this idea, is in the end, people want to get better. They're coming in for a reason. So you need to learn how to facilitate that. And so narrative health coaching is a learning model. It's actually a learning model of healing. The idea is that if someone learns how to have healthier habits, then they're going to naturally heal, right? So in a nutrition context, it's less learning what to eat and more learning all the different challenges and how to find my way toward a healthier eating style. And as I do that, which is it's not just what I do, but my experience of how I do it, what's my social interactions, what's the social relationships, and then what's the context for eating. Like, for instance, I have a hard time eating well when I travel. That's a context perspective. Then I can get better results. So how do I do that? You're seeing this on the slide. Explore the client's vision of optimal health. What would it look like if I'm really healthy, right? What's important to me, my values, my sense of meaning. What inspires me, right? Leading to what we call establishing long-term results. In our method, we call that the healing topic. Okay. The second one, actually, Deena, you want to run through these?
Sure. So establishing short-term goals to be accomplished in between sessions. Well, we also work with that, and those are called learning objectives. We discuss and honor the client's preferences for self-monitoring. So this part's really important, right? Because we need to discover what they're able to do in terms of monitoring. Facilitate process of self-discovery, learning, and insight. And so, Joel, I'm going to throw another question at you. So in facilitating the process of self-discovery, learning, and insight, how does that process work?
Thank you. Well, so in narrative health coaching, we have something called awareness practices. So we distinguish two types of practices. One we call foundation practice, and you all know this, what a foundation practice is. There's 71 of us on here. And I would assume that everyone knows that exercise and eating healthy food are good for you and getting good sleep. So when I tell someone to eat less calories or to exercise 3 times a week or to get to bed by 11 o'clock, I'm getting them a foundation practice. That's what we call that. In narrative health coaching, we want to also give exercises that ask people to pay attention to the way they do things, to discover some of the what we call the internal experiences that go along with that behavior. So that would look like an assignment that looks like noticing when I go to my afternoon snack, because I usually have a snack between 3 or 4 o'clock, what is occurring, what attracts me, which foods attract me. You know, I could eat the nuts, or I could eat the chips, or I could eat the fruit, or I don't really get to eat yodels or things like that because they're not in my house. But some of them are healthier and less, some are healthy. What internal experience is happening for me? Like, what informs that decision? Is it my hunger? Is it comfort? Is it anxiety? Like, what's my internal state? So that's becoming more aware of my experience. And if I become more aware of my experience, I can then say, well, what would I like my experience to be? How would I like to be? So then what happens if I come to the afternoon snack saying, well, it's been a long day. I want to really relax and I want to really calm down. So I'm going to calm down first, and then I'm going to choose a snack that's going to make me feel good. So I've used my interior. All right, so that's a short-term goal. So what Deena asked me way back before that long answer was facilitate a process of self-discovery, learning, and insight. So what I learned over time is that if I can take a few minutes or even a 1-minute meditation, slow myself and check in, I'm much more likely to pick a healthier food.
Yeah, excellent.
Facilitating learning and results.
And then we anticipate, plan for, and help client navigate challenges. So I think, of course, at the beginning, like on an intake session, of course, you're hearing all about the challenges and the story that go along with it. But then also, once we complete a coaching program, we want to be able to send our clients out into the world where they don't, need our support, where they know, they have skills, and also that they're able to navigate upcoming challenges, right?
Right. So that happens quite a bit because it happens while you're in the sessions, and it can happen where somebody like, okay, does anybody have an easy time eating well over the holidays, over the Christmas holidays? Like I know it's a common challenge. So if we know that's happening, then health coaching allows us to say, what have you learned through our working together that you can utilize that would better enable you to navigate this challenge? Right? That's a simple example of that. Right, and so that's a really important part of health coaching. There's only one more left on this bullet, right, which is a really wonderful one. You're good at this one too.
Prompt for and amplify positive resources. Yeah, I love positivity and pointing people in the direction. But what you just said about you could be like in the middle of a coaching program and the holidays roll around, and I think the coaching relationship creates a sense of positivity in the client almost immediately, almost after a first session, you know, if there's a resonance between coach and client. And so then when the challenges come up, there's already a foundation of positivity that's already come from the coach-client relationship. So that's the beauty in it, is that it really is all about really celebrating and honoring and creating success for the client. So, you know, we help them to create small successes between sessions.
Nicely said. Small successes between sessions, and then actually it's a really wonderful switch, because if you're a health professional, I imagine out of the 70 people on this call, there's plenty of people who are in some capacity being in the service helping profession. We often focus on risk and reducing things that are going to create negative outcomes. And what you learn from coaching is to you can get there, but you're orienting toward what did you succeed at. So the client, I love this example, you've heard this example many times. You're supposed to do some sort of nutritional thing 3 times a week or 5 times a week, and they come back and say, I didn't do my assignment. It's like, what do you mean you didn't do your assignment? It's like, well, I was supposed to do it 4 times a week, and I only did it twice. And my orientation is, well, twice, okay, what happened when you did it twice? And what did you learn? And wow, that's a lot to learn from doing it twice. You see, I just skipped over the entire, well, I'm feeling bad about myself for only doing it twice instead of 4 times, and oriented toward what do you learn? And then what I'm paying attention to is, how do I give that assignment again next time at the right scale, at the sweet spot, so that they'll act. So maybe I should only say do it twice a week. Now, the typical fitness instructor would say, well, you're not going to get enough cardio if you only do the exercise twice a week. But what the health coach says is, if I can get you to feel good about it twice a week, then what you just said, Deena, small steps. Can we go from 2 times a week to 3 times a week? And we're knowing that in 3 months, I can get you up to enough cardio in a week. So it's about the learning. Right, and so those are good examples. So what we just did was give you a list of skills. So I'm going to quickly back up and see this. So there's co-creating the relationships. The relationship skills is essential to coaching. There's communication skills, listening, questions, communicating effectively. And then there's learning, facilitating learning skills, which is really understanding your clients, establishing a healing topic, a long-term goal, establishing what we call learning objectives, short-term goals, giving assignments, helping the client discover and monitor themselves, anticipating problems, and being exceedingly positive. I can see that you're all going to be great health coaches when you're done with this, with our program. So actually, we can go on from here, but my inner clock says talking for too long puts everyone to sleep. So maybe what we'll do is we'll pause, and if you have any questions, can you run by Rosie and see, Rosie, if you have any question you want to ask us something, and we'll come back to our slideshow. Let's take like a 3 or 4 minutes. You got to unmute yourself, Rosie, so we can, you know.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you both. There haven't been any questions coming through the chat box yet, so I'm gonna I imagine that there's some people on this call who are our nutrition consultant, either students or graduates, and maybe facing some current challenges with their clients at the moment. So I'm just gonna present a couple of scenarios to you both and just see, like, you know, what you might do with it from a health coaching perspective.
Perfect. Yeah.
So the first one is, you know, a lot of clients know that they need to improve their health, and that they need to make changes. Like, most people know they need to be drinking more water, eating more vegetables, doing more exercise. And something that comes up a lot for nutrition consultants is that in the session, the clients seem really engaged. They really want to do it. They feel like, you know, they really want to make these changes. They seem really motivated. And then in the next check-in, they find that, oh no, like it didn't happen for me.
Right, right. Yeah, not uncommon. Right. And so it's interesting, because then that sets up this immediate tension between, well, why are you here? Do you really want to do this? And what's the, so that, and there's the, what you said you're going to do is, but then you weren't able to actually perform. Right, and so yes, I hear that particular complaint a lot, and not just from nutrition professionals. I hear it a lot from the client's perspective too. The client says, I've been to lots of healers, and I end up getting this great plan. I get all excited, and then I don't follow up on it. Right, that's the other side of the same story. So this is why I love health coaching, because there's a few pieces, and I've mentioned it before. One of them is really making sure that the client doesn't overshoot the expectations. You keep the expectations really, really simple. Deena and I both have this experience. We spend more time in the nutrition consultant getting people to take their assignment and say, how about 5 minutes a day? Not whatever you eat, pay attention to. It's like once a day. When you find yourself eating something that you don't like, can you stop and pay attention to what's going on? And the rest of the time, don't even worry about it. So this is called scale. It's like giving people assignments that are in a real sweet spot of scale that they're likely to succeed at. We have a habit of giving folks what we call the end game. It's like you're supposed to hit a home run with the first assignment, and then they come back and they didn't hit the home run, but they didn't even want to get out the bat because they didn't feel like they were going to get a home run. I was like, well, how about what's a small assignment? So this is a particular technique. Give them a really little assignment that they succeed at. So that's one solution to that. Deena, you want to jump in with a solution to this one?
Yeah, I would say the healing topic and the coaching program that we've designed is a solution to that. Because that goes back to the question you said, why does health coaching work for me? Well, sure, I could see clients for healing sessions, but when I use the format that we have in narrative health coaching, and we design the healing topic, and then we have the learning objectives, it's like magic. It's a blueprint. And so each time we meet, we're following that blueprint. And so there's less likely for the client then to fall off, because they know they have a blueprint that they're following, and it's really clear. It's crystal clear.
So I'm going to piggyback on that. So what we just said is, at the first visit, you get this healing topic, which is this vision of what you want to see happen. And then you're giving people, you construct what we call a healing plan. And the healing plan is, these are the 3 skills you're going to need to learn how to do in order to get to that. So it's like, I want to lose 10 pounds, that's your healing topic, or I really want to feel good in my body, that's a better healing topic. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to be better able to recognize when I really need to eat something and choose something healthy to eat. I'm going to, become more able to understand my feelings and how they impact my food choices. Right, and I'm gonna recognize my body's energy needs and become good at having increased energy output, that's exercise, and also increased relaxation times. Those are 3 muscles. That's a plan now. Now the client, was what Deena just said, the client now knows that we're gonna learn how to do these muscles one at a time over a 3 to 6 month period of time in little tiny chunks, so they get good at it. And then they're more likely to stay engaged, that's what you asked, and also to succeed.
So here's thank you both for those answers. There's a follow-up question kind of related to this topic from someone here, from Lori. How do you suss out a clear healing topic from a complicated client?
Yeah, actually, it's not an easy question for an intro webinar, I can say. So the art of a healing topic is a dialogue. If we had a little bit more time, actually, Deena and I almost could sort of, we get a volunteer and demonstrate, which we do in the nutrition consultant program. But you're having a dialogue where you're asking the client, what do you really want to see happen? You're helping them get more specific. You're helping them recognize that you can't do everything. This is another common thing that I've learned. So early on when I started teaching, I taught at a different university. Like the students would come back and their healing topics be, I want to get married, get a good job, and have kids, right? And we used to laugh because it's like, did you bother to say that we only have 3 months to work together? Right? So the health coach has to be able to say, those are great things. What is really important to you right now over the next 3 months that you'd like to work on? Right? And so you help the client hone right? And that's true. It's hard with complicated clients, especially if they have chronic illness, because they're sort of so used to wanting to deal with all their complaints. And so you have to help them see that if you could really get to learn some mindfulness training and you can get really good about your emotions, a lot of the other pieces, you'd have an easier time eating, and you'd have an easier time with all these different features. And so you're sort of crafting with them what a healing topic looks like. I don't know if Deena, you want to add to that, or that was complete.
I'm going to leave it there because we have some more questions. But yeah, I mean, it takes a little minute to hone in on the perfect healing topic. But I just think if you use the skills, the coaching skills, then I think it comes, and you just have to be present for the client and help them to discover what is at the root. Like you're saying, what's the deepest, what's the thing that's calling to them most importantly at this time.
Thank you. So I'm going to depart the scenarios for now because there are some questions that have come in from people. And one that is a very good question is kind of, what are the job opportunities of health coaches besides having your own private practice and being an entrepreneur, having your own Facebook and website and having to do all that? Like, what are the other job opportunities that are available?
Yes, this is good because I'm going to answer that, and I'm going to segue back into some of the slides so we can make sense out of it. So really briefly, the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches, which we're an approved program, in other words, it's not accredited. It's not accreditation body, it's an approval body, but it means graduates from the program can sit to become board certified health and wellness coaches. At this stage, the job market is exploding. And so what you're seeing is hospital systems are hiring health coaches. You should just go to any job website right now, type in health coach, and find out how many jobs there are. Last time I checked, there was about 1,000 in the United States posted. Okay, and the reason why that is because the hospital system has really come to terms with the fact that this is not a 4-year or 7-year medical training track. This is a short professional track whose job is behavioral change in the name of helping people get better and be motivated. So you're seeing more and more physicians want to hire health coaches. That's true in the integrative practices. So like most of the functional medicine doctors are putting health coaches in their clinics, and that's another track. And you're seeing definitely hospital systems hire full-time health coaches. I know a lot of people don't want, there's a balance of, a lot of people like the entrepreneurial track. And so there's now a way that you could do a 2-3 day a week job as a health coach for, a place like Kaiser or Sutter. We're in California, so those companies, most people, but they're different all over. And then have a couple of days a week to develop your own practice, because of course, you get paid more when you do, your own entrepreneurial version of it, but you get a lot of experience, okay, when you get to work for other folks. So that's really where the main growth is. But should I go back to the slides, Rosie? I think that would be a good yeah.
Let me, because there's a question that came in that just is like very relevant to what you're talking about right now. And I think that having a certification from this board makes a difference in getting a professional job as a health coach. Yeah,
actually, I love that. Was the other question. That's why I want to go back to it. At the moment, we're in transition, but honestly, by 2020, if you're not a board certified health and wellness coach, you can't compete. And so, it's growing really rapidly. And so because there were, say, 20,000 health coaches before the board certification, they all haven't become certified. You can get a job without being a board certified health coach. But I think what you're finding is hospital systems and health insurance systems all like certifications. So the window is going to close, and honestly, 2020 is not that far away. That's next year. So by the end of next year, it's going to be essentially a requirement to be a board certified health and wellness coach. That's my humble opinion on that. And so let me quickly show folks like what that looks like from the course perspective. I'm going to skip these 2 slides right now. I can come back to it. But what the board certification is saying is that the content of a health coach program is coaching structure. That's, how do you set up an initial visit? What's different about that? How do you do cycles of learning? How do you complete? How do you make sure people are following HIPAA requirements? Coaching process, which is listening, learning what all those practical skills are coaching process. There is a lifestyle medicine curriculum that's learning about mindfulness, that's learning about how lifestyle, exercise, sleep, nutrition have shown to be incredibly powerful tools in healing chronic illness and ethics. So there's percentages, but those are the 4 content areas of a health coach program required by the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches. And so in our class, we end up with a 24-week program. And generally, it's generally a 2-hour-a-week program for 24 weeks. For 10 weeks, there's also a 1-hour video session. The video sessions people watch on their own time, but the live classes are real time, but they are on Zoom. So I'll say that again, it's all on Zoom. There's no in-person version of this, but it is real time. And some people, it doesn't mean that you're not in real time talking to people just because you're on video. Right. So and then in this particular program, we actually have a clinic where you're watching one of the faculty, often me, demonstrate and work with a client for 7 sessions, and then all the students in the program get put into groups of 6, where you for 6 sessions actually are supervised doing your own work with your own clients. You see the next slide. I'm going to show this piece. The lifestyle medicine section is actually 14 classes, but it's 15 hours. There's a little slide mess up there. Let's just say it's 15 hours of curriculum. That's asynchronous. And then you are actually assessed at the end using Zoom. You have to coach someone. Whole thing takes 24 weeks. And key is this supervisory group, hands-on. So all the students in the program are going to have to work with 2 clients for a total of 12 sessions. You do that on your own, you write it up, and you bring it back into your supervisory group with the other 6 and a supervisor. There's a lot of it's direct feedback. So by requirement, you're going to get feedback 3 times. You're going to have to coach 20 minutes 3 times, or this is all part of those 12 clients. You're going to get feedback 3 times from your supervisor, or during the final exam, you actually get feedback. And that's a very powerful piece. It's not unique to our particular program. It's pretty required, but most of the programs don't have the same amount of coaching requirements, the 12 sessions. So it's quite a bit. And what that leads you is to become, you actually complete, you get a certification from our program, then you can go on to become board certified. And what that means is they have a minimum education requirement. I don't think it's an associate's degree, but it's a small amount of college education, but you can do actually work experience. And then you coach 50 sessions after you're done, and then you can sit for the exam. And if you do it, so you complete a program like ours, you have I don't have the technical term for the education. I know it's not a bachelor's degree. It might even be an associate degree. You do 50 sessions, then you sit for the board exam, and then you become one of these. You get this little logo. Both Deena and I are National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coaches. And that's what your question was, Rosie, about what's going to happen. I think in the next year or 2, it's going to be a gateway professional certificate, a National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach. So I'm going to pause there. That was a flurry of talking, and see if we got more questions.
We have more questions, yeah. So something came from someone saying, if I already am seeing clients and feel pretty comfortable and well-versed with the coaching, do you still think it makes a difference to get a certification?
Actually, Deena, you want to answer that for me first? Let's see what you do with it.
I mean, I think it makes a difference at the very basic level of just getting really even better at what you're doing. But also, I guess that answer also depends on if you are going out into the workplace, then yes, I think the certification is imperative. But if you're going to be like a private coach, then maybe not as important. But still, I think people are looking for certification.
Right, but I liked your first answer, which is It's not just getting a certification. I think that, and I just got off the phone with someone who's at another competing organization. I think that we're teaching a lot of health coaching on the marketplace is what we call behavioral health coaching, which is a little bit closer to what a fitness instructor does or personal trainer. And I think that we're offering a set of skills that are very unique to the marketplace, and that a program like this is going to it's kind of like, it's like putting your, if you're already in drive, it's like going into overdrive. If you're in a low gear, you're going to a higher gear. You're going to really refine your coaching skills, and you're going to get a board certification if you sit for all that stuff. The combination of two, not to mention being actually, because we're so interested in relationship, being with a really wonderful cohort of other fellow travelers that are really important. So I think the program is worth it. The second I went and did it. You did too.
It makes a difference, I think.
So there have been a few questions coming in. It seems like there are some people on this call who are trying to decide between the nutrition consultant program and the health coach program. So
Right.
It might benefit these people to just kind of know the differences between the two programs.
Right.
So maybe we can tag team that one.
Yeah, no, I could say you can tag team. I mean, we probably have different answers, but I will say that the nutrition consultant program really is a deep dive into nutrition. You become an expert. It's got a lot of functional nutrition. It's got a lot of physiology. It's really is. I mean, it's a lovely program, but you get the skill that it takes to really know what advice, how to diagnose, not diagnose, how to recognize a much deeper understanding of what people can need with their food, right? One of the challenges of a nutritional consultant is, and you hear this, we both hear this, I'm sure there's plenty of people on this call who are graduates of the program, is when you get out there, it doesn't necessarily translate into the kind of success you really want to see. The health coaching program is all about supporting behavioral change. So you don't get the nutrition chops, you get the communication chops, you get the I'm a motivator. Mm-hmm. Nodding, Rosie, because that's what I said. So it's a wonderful combination, actually, doing both, right? But they're different things, right? How would you add to that?
I think that sounds about right. It's the two programs actually go hand in hand together. In the nutrition program, it's a really deep dive into the nutrition. The first part of the program is all about the foundations of nutrition, so you learn about macro and micronutrients. It's very science-based, so you learn about physiology, cardiovascular health, all about endocrine health and the hormones. You talk about cancer, all of these things. It goes into great depth, and it's pretty, it's a lot of science.
Well, no, it's huge. And so I'm seeing we're both looking at the same question. So in a health coaching program, there's 15 hours of lifestyle medicine. So you get 3 hours of nutritional information. You get the really greatest hits of what nutrition you're going to use for cancer, diabetes, irritable bowel, and things like that. Well, the nutrition consultant, what's it, 750 hours, I think, is how many hours is the program?
That's right.
So 3 hours, I mean, it's not like a genie. You can't stuff 750 hours into a 3-hour course. Right, but you get a little nutrition, right? You're focusing on how to be a motivator and a change agent,
right?
And that's kind of the big difference. And there's some other questions that go along with that one really well that I want to just, because I don't need to wait for you. Like, I know Kaiser, I think base pay is like $25 an hour, but it can be $35 an hour or $40 an hour. I know if you get into more, people are asking where you can apply for jobs. The functional medicine clinics, if there's a bunch of them all over the United States, they tend to start at a higher rate. They could be paying $40 an hour. They could be paying $60 an hour for health coaching, just to give you ranges of people who want to know. And how do you find them? It is like any other job. But honestly, at this stage of the game, all the job search engines have health coaching. You can set yourself up. You can find a headhunter to help you find, or you can actually just go to local, forums. I mean, there's functional medicine forums and there's integrated medicine forums throughout the United States. And there's also actually the public clinics. In other words, there's primary care clinics that are starting to hire health coaches as well. And like any job, relationships matter. So going in and talking to people and saying, well, I just got the certificate and I just learned how to do this, and how can I help is going to make a big difference.
And I did recently talk to a Bowman graduate who is working as a health coach at Kaiser, and she let me know that Kaiser can't keep up with the demand for health coaching right now. They're just looking for more and more health coaches because, just because of the chronic disease crisis, and there's just this gap in care between doctors and actually supporting people with these changes. So
yeah, and that's why I sort of boasted that all my graduates are working. So I used to teach at a local university around here. I think the program closed, John F. Kennedy University. It was a master's of holistic health education. And back then it was really hard what kind of job are you going to get as a health educator? And slowly they've all ended up as being health coaches at Kaiser over the 10-year period of time. Most of them had to go back and get degrees to get health coaching certificates. Before I had a program, they would go back to well coaches. That's one of the other big programs out there in the United States. I know someone has mentioned Institute for Integrative Nutrition as a comparative program, and I don't want to spend too long a time bashing other programs. I would say that our program is so hands-on and so personable. It's less about having kind of well-known people deliver you content, and more about a highly refined process of helping you become a skilled healer, right? We see health coaches as healer, and what the narrative health coaching approach, which I skipped those particular slides, really is. Actually, let me take a second to put that up. I know we want to end on time, but I had to break out of my slides here for 1 second, and then whoops, there's practical skills. Narrative health coaching is relationships engaged. We've been doing that. Stories matter, meaning every behavior has an interior. It has a sort of something that we do and think about that has a motivation. We want to access that, because with that we can transform, and that's where learning happens. And so it's really a growth model of healing, right? So the idea is that if somebody comes in, if they have a challenge, if I can access story, if I can relate to them, then learning transforms and growth heals. So our method is specific. So not all health coaching programs do use what we call a client-specific coaching plan. Some coaching is just, what do you want to talk about today? And that works too. It's more behavioral. Ours is we really create a healing topic with learning objectives, and then we create for you session after session awareness and foundation practices. I introduced those two things, so I don't need to go over them now. So because we're getting to the top of the hour,
I'd like to just quickly add one thing, because I think the biggest difference from our program and these other programs is, like you said, the hands-on experiential learning. So everybody who takes our program is going to practice not only being a coach, but you're going to get the experience of what it's like to be a client. In fact, my entree into the program was as a client. I was a client of Joel's, and that's how I entered the program, and because I was so sold on the results. So this is what you're going to get. You're going to sit in the seat of being a client and really get what that feels like and recognize that there's deep healing there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad I didn't rush through that. That was good. We don't have to put this slide up for very long, but the program, this is a feeder to, obviously, this webinar, October 1st, right, is when this course starts. It's Tuesdays 4 to 6. As we said, the supervisory groups have other times to meet because they're small groups, so there's just some of the samples of them. It's all on Zoom, and the course is currently listed for $5,495. So October 1st. I think I'm going to take off the slides and let Rosie do our closing, because I know we're getting to we have a few more minutes. We can do questions, but I'm going to let you take us out from here. I don't have any more slides.
Sure. Yeah, there's a question coming in asking whether you can take both nutrition consultant and health coach, and the answer is yes. They're two separate certificate programs. So the nutrition consultant program is a certificate program, and once you complete that, then you're a certified nutrition consultant, and then you're eligible to sit for the board exam for holistic nutrition. So that's a separate board exam. And then the health coach program allows you to be a certified health coach and allow you to sit for the board exam for the health and wellness coaches. So they're two separate tracks, separate from each other, and yes, you can take them both.
Yes.
So we have, like Joel mentioned, we have a cohort of health coaching starting October 1st. And so what we're offering you as kind of like a thank you for coming to this webinar today is that if you sign up today, you can get $200 off of your tuition. And I'm gonna add all this in the chat box, but all you have to do is email admissions@bowmancollege.org to sign up. And if you're not ready to make that commitment today, then you can email admissions@bowmancollege.org in the next 48 hours, so by Saturday at 1 p.m. With Health Coach Webinar in the subject line, and you can have your late enrollment fee waived. So right now, because we're so close to the date of the start of the cohort, we have a late enrollment fee, but that can be waived if you just email admissions in the next 48 hours with no obligation. You don't have to sign up. And let's see.
I mean, this, you know, the cohort, it's a nicely formed cohort. So, you know, if you're interested in sort of learning this stuff, now is the time. It's good. You know, we're going to offer this program twice a year as this current schedule. So the next one will start again in March or April. Basically, somebody asked a question about European time. Right. I mean, it may be as we go down, I know 4 o'clock is a late start for a European time. There may come a time in the next time, a time after, that we'll start it at an earlier session. But at the moment, it's unfortunate that that's the only time that this is when this course is actually running. But I really encourage you, if you know, we've been doing this. This is our 4th or 5th year teaching this particular material. We have graduates out there who are you know, you see from Deena, she's doing exceedingly well. And you know, if there's something that moves you, I think this is a good opportunity for you to consider the jump on board and take the discount today.
And a college education is not a prerequisite to the program. It's just a high school diploma or the equivalent is the only
Right.
prerequisite.
Thank you. Yeah, I felt like I wasn't clear with that. I was going to look it up, but I know it's not a BA, so it's a high school degree. Okay.
And then someone's asking how much time per week should be allocated to studying in the program.
That's a great question. So the class time itself is basically, it's well, you know, for the meet the class requirements is about 5 hours a week. So there's the 2-hour live, 1 hour of video, and then 2 hours of homework. And then you have to go coach someone on your own time and do the write-up. And depending on how efficient you are, that could be longer or shorter. And so there are times where you may end up working 5 to 10 hours, closer to 10 hours a week for in the middle, near the end. But the basic commitment for, you know, before you're doing cases is 5 hours a week, including the class and the homework assignments.
Okay, so I just want to end with, I know that there were some questions that came through that we didn't get a chance to respond to, but just know that we're around. And Joel and Deena, how might people be able to contact you?
They can contact us directly. I mean, we're both, you know, with our email. I got to make sure I get my Bowman College email address. You can email me and I'll get on Skype and talk to you and all that other stuff. I mean, there's no reason why we can't do that. Joel Kreisberg at bowmancollege.org. Just not used to using that email yet. I'm going to pipe that in, put that in.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. That was a fun conversation, and I know that was just you know, skimming the surface of everything that can be learned about this topic. And I hope that everyone got something out of it. And I encourage you to join us in the October cohort. It's gonna be great.
We'll be there. Thank you,
and
Rosie.
Thank you so much, Joel and Deena, for leading our conversation today.
You're welcome.
Have a great day, everyone.